welcome. This is Hot Edition. We're live from our news about Desawe Kanda. Also live on Kesmi 107.1 in Tamale and beyond. We're live on W 93.5 in Wa and beyond. We're also live all across the world on 3news.com. We're live on Facebook and on X at 3FM 927. Join us with your thoughts, views, and opinions. This evening, a GPRTU threatens a nationwide strike over the new 1 Ghana cedi fuel levy, which has been signed into law by the president, John Dramani Mahama, just some 2 hours ago. We'll tell you exactly what the president said before signing this new levy into law after Parliament passed it some 2 days ago. Stay with us here on Hot Edition. The GPRTU is having none of that. We'll stay on it a bit further, engage them, and also we'll hear from the Energy Ministry how they intend to respond to the concerns of the GPRTU on this matter here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7, also on Kesmi 107.1 in Tamale. We're live on W 93.5 in Wa and beyond. 24 arrested for illegal mining at Bui Sobinso, including some 14 Chinese nationals. And guess what? What we're learning is that a fuel station that has been built by these illegal miners was discovered in the thick of the forest. Stay with us. We've got details for you here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7 plus. Takeaway packs to be banned soon. That's according to the president, John Dramani Mahama. He said this today in commemoration of the World Environment Day. Stay with us. We've got details for you, plus the latest in business, sports, over the next 1 hour, 30 minutes here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7, also on Kesmi 107.1 in Tamale and beyond. We're live on W 93.5 in Wa and beyond. I am Alfred Ocansey, and I'm Hanna Bissiw here with a summary of the news.
Now, in today's summaries, the government has impounded 1,250 excavators at the Tema port over the 2 weeks as part of its intensified anti-galamsey efforts, according to the government's communication minister, Felix Kwakye Ofosu. This follows President John Mahama's announcement that illegal miners have been cleared from 8 of 9 forest reserves and that permits will soon be required for all excavator imports. Now, in court today, the Court of Appeal has acquitted and discharged Yao Asante Ejukum, an alleged accomplice of the notorious armed robber Atayi, after serving 20 years in prison. Ejukum was sentenced to 35 years in 2002 for conspiracy to commit robbery. However, the court ruled that the prosecution failed to provide sufficient evidence linking him to crimes aside the fact that his workshop repaired bikes used by the robbers. Now, the Minister for the Northeast region, Ibrahim Tia, has issued a call to action to all education institutions in the area. This is as a result of the recently faced considerable challenges, particularly with the destruction of more than 40 school roofs due to heavy winds. The minister urges schools to plant trees within their boundaries as a protective and proactive measure to protect their premises from severe weather conditions and to help mitigate the risk of land dispute. The National Commission on Small Arms and Lightweights has begun stakeholder engagements with transport operators to curb the spread of small arms and explosive. A 2014 baseline survey revealed that 2.3 million small arms are in circulation in Ghana, with 1.1 million held by civilians, raising concerns over national security. And before I go, the National Road Safety Authority has embarked on an operation to rid Accra-Kumasi Highway of bulk haulage vehicles that park along the shoulders of the road. The authority insists that this illegal parking, combined with traders' invasion of the Nkoko stretch, exposes road users to serious accidents. That's all for summary today, Alfred.
And thank you so much. More news on 3news.com. Make some time and visit 3news.com. This is Hot Edition. We're live on Kesmi 107.1 in Tamale and beyond, and also on W 93.5 in Wa and beyond. Let's get straight into the matters. It's some 7 minutes after 5. There's been a number of reactions to this new levy that, just by the way, has been passed into law now because the president accented to it not too long ago. I'm talking about the energy levy. The president has been speaking about it before he signed it into law, or assented to it into law. We'll hear from the president shortly, but the country is facing probably an imminent crisis as commercial transport operators issue a definitive threat of a nationwide strike starting June 10. That's next week, Tuesday. Now, the drastic measure is a direct protest against the newly enacted one Ghana cedi levy on petroleum products, which operators fear could cripple their livelihoods and also inflate fares for millions of commuters. Now, what we're learning is that the Ghana Private Road Transport Union, they have issued this direct notice of this impending action that they intend to take if government does not listen to their concerns and possibly review their position on this levy, the one cedi levy, which has been passed into law now. And shortly we'll be joined by Abbas Imoro. Shortly, he speaks for the Ghana Private Road Transport Union. They've been addressing a tense press conference earlier today, and the industrial relations officer voiced a collective outrage of the over 200,000 drivers and vehicle owners nationwide. He condemned the levy as a unilateral decision taken without adequate consultation, warning it would impose untold hardship on the transport sector. Now, he highlighted that transport operators have already contended with a 15 to 20% rise in spare parts, maintenance and insurance costs over the past year. And this new levy could force them, that's the drivers, to implement the 10 to 15% fare increase, a burden that over 60% of urban Ghanaians rely on public transport daily simply cannot bear. Now, if you recall, just a couple of weeks ago, the GPRTU had indicated a 15% reduction in transport fares, but that was not adhered to by most of their members, and so the implementation was almost insignificant. People are still paying for their fares, as there was the case even before this directive to their members to reduce the transport fare. That has not been adhered to as we speak. But let's go on to the telephone lines now. How's the Ministry of Energy intending to respond to this particular directive or this indication by the GPRTU members that if nothing is done about this levy, which, by the way, has been signed or accented to by the president, it is law now. We are awaiting the Ghana Revenue Authority's detail as to when the implementation of this levy will begin. But the GPRTU is resolute. They would embark on a nationwide strike beginning June 10. That's next week, Tuesday, if nothing is done about it. And Richmond Roxon speaks for the Energy Ministry, is joining us on the telephone right now. Mr. Roxon, good evening. Thank you for joining us.
Good evening, Alfred, and thank you for having me.
This is the message from the GPRTU to you, that if you do not consider their concerns in this one cedi levy on petroleum products, which has been passed into law now with the accenting by the president, they would have no choice than to embark on the nationwide strike next week, Tuesday, because they say this was a unilateral decision taken without adequate consultation. Why did you do this?
Alfred, let me put on record that this decision was not unilateral. The ministry, led by the Minister of Energy and Green Transition, as well as the Minister for Finance, continue to engage parties or stakeholders. We understand that when it comes to payment of taxes, it is never easy. Never easy. So definitely there will be some pushback from some of the stakeholders. But like the president said, this decision was not taken lightly. This decision was taken considering all the factors and the challenges that we face currently with the energy sector, and that the support of all stakeholders, all Ghanaians, all groups, workers, will be very crucial for the minister and the government to implement this decision. If you look at the analysis that has been done and what the president said today, definitely the benefits are enormous. And if we fail to implement this policy, we fail to proceed with the levy, the energy sector may collapse. If we have to look at the alternative of passing the cost to consumer, which will mean that it will go up above 50%. In fact, the exact figure is 68%. I'm not sure that any of us would want that option. So we'll continue to engage the stakeholders. The Minister of Energy will continue to lead the discussions. And it is our hope and prayer that we'll get the support of all persons. I understand when you've had ESLA pay for a couple of years and it's been mismanaged or misdirected, then it becomes a concern for people. But the most important point here is that there's an oversight responsibility that all of us must support, and that the Ministry of Energy and Ministry of Finance at all material times will be accountable for how the levies are being used. And that when it gets to a point where a review must be made, definitely, the review will be done. But at this point in time, we'll continue to plead with them, we'll continue to engage with them, we'll continue to be as transparent as we'll be. We'll continue to open up the books for everyone to see where we are as a country when it comes to the energy sector, so that we can all build a better tomorrow for ourselves and for the energy sector, so that businesses will continue to thrive. And the point that was made about prices going up, even though it's been introduced, you can see that there's been assurances that even in this price window, the prices will remain unchanged. We've moved from 17 Ghana cedi to $1 to 10. We've moved from about 17 Ghana cedi per litre of fuel to about 11 or 12. And that the gains that have been made will be sustained. And that together all of us will be able to surmount the challenges.
So are you saying that you engage, for instance, the GPRTU, let's single them out as a stakeholder in all of this. Prior to this levy being passed by Parliament, did you engage them as a stakeholder?
Several engagements have been made. Several drivers have been spoken to. Several unions have been spoken to. I don't want to mention or single out individuals or groups when it comes to this, but wide consultations were made, that I can assure you. But like I said, even though some groups were engaged, not everybody, and as a human institution, and when it comes to payment of taxes, the government did not expect everybody to give its endorsement. But the most important thing is to continue to engage. And once the people appreciate where we are as a country, once they recognize that the sector is saddled with 80 billion debt, once they recognize that we need to pay the IPPs $1.75 billion, once they recognize that they're spending $1.2 billion on fuel, and they appreciate the numbers and how critical this is, definitely, we believe that at a point in time, they will appreciate where the country is and where the energy sector is now. So we'll continue to plead with them. We'll continue to ask them for their support. We'll continue to make sure that the implementation is efficient and done responsibly, and the funds will be properly managed, devoid of misuse and corruption. At the end of the day, once everybody sees where the funds are going to, we believe strongly that the media support will be gained for all of us to prosecute the better energy sector that we are looking for.
So is it that you're going to, GPR, they've given a date now that by next week, Tuesday, they're going to go on a nationwide strike. So what is going to be the response mechanism of the ministry to avert the strike that they have already given notice of?
The engagement will not stop. The minister continues to engage groups. A couple of days ago, even today, the minister has engaged more than 5 groups today on this subject alone. Yesterday was seen. So the engagement will continue. We will appeal to them, and we will appeal to them strongly that this is not the time to go on strike. This is the time for all of us to put our heads together to resolve the challenges that we are in. A government that has worked tirelessly to make sure that fuel prices have reduced by between 4 to 5 Ghana cedi within 4 months. It's not an insensitive government. Their views are welcomed. We appreciate their views. The minister recognizes the challenges that they find themselves in and what they put across. But where we are is critical. So we continue to appeal with and engage them to make sure that the strike does not is called on.
Richmond, hold on a bit for me, because the man who addressed the press conference that the GPRTU organized, that tensed atmosphere, that press conference, is on the line. Alhaji Abbas Imoro is the head of industrial relations for the GPRTU. Alhaji, good evening. Thank you for joining us.
Good evening, sir. You can see.
Great. Now, at the press conference, you stated a number of things. One, that you're going to go on a nationwide strike by next week Tuesday because of this new levy that has been assented to by the president. And two, the fact that this is a unilateral decision and that there was no engagement. Now, exactly what do you mean by that? Because the ministry says they engaged a number of the stakeholders, including some of the driver unions.
No, they haven't engaged us. And the painful parties, you knew you have this under your sleeves. When we were going to reduce our fares by 15%, we engaged each other well with the transport ministry. Not even the very last day, we break the main thing into two sections. And finally, we came to conclusion. If you have this under your sleeves, you knew very well that this lorry fare has been hit by some of our colleagues, that we are still trying to talk to them to reduce their fares, of which we are still undergoing. And you did not even engage us on it. And look at the margin, 1 cedi on a liter. I mean, now it looks like we doesn't even know where we are standing. It doesn't know where we are standing. And if we knew you have this under your sleeves, nobody would have gone as low as this 15% reduction. So all we are saying is they should withdraw it. Let's sit by a round table with joy and see how best we can come out from it. And even up to 10 June, I strongly believe they have to respond to our press release. And if nothing happens after 10 June, we will assemble ourselves and see how best we could continue serving Mother Ghana.
You asked that this be withdrawn. The president has just assented to it, so now it is law, essentially. So this call probably might be too late at this point, don't you think?
Well, up to on the 10th, if there's no response, we'll assemble ourselves and try to move Ghana forward.
So if you assemble, trying to move Ghana forward, what do you mean?
When it came to the time that we have to reduce our lorry fares religiously, we did, just to make sure we help Mother Ghana move forward. So if things have to change for transport operators to continue moving smoothly, why not?
But you know that the reduction, although yes, announced, but was not adhered to by a number of your members who are still charging the old fees.
That's the painful part we are having now. Because when we announced, about half of our people accepted, half did not accept. We tried talking to them, it is our own relatives, and now we are left with about, I would say, about a quarter of our people. You see, let me say 3/3 have now accepted going by it. And if in the midst of all this, within a twinkle of an eye, this will turn on us, it's very painful, very, very painful. Personally, I'm not a happy man at all the way they went about it. And I strongly believe my people are also feeling the same pains.
I see. Well, Richmond Roxon, who speaks for the ministry, is on the other line. So, Alhaji Moro, I'm going to put that consent directly to him, and I want you to stay on it for me. Mr. Roxon, you get a sense from Alhaji Moro that they speak of some subject of mistrust and the fact that since they were engaging you, or you engaged them prior to they coming out to announce a 15% reduction in the fuel, that's the transport fares, 2 weeks ago. So if you had this up your sleeves, why didn't you tell them? And you were quiet about it, only for them to announce a transport fares reduction 15%, and then you come up with this 1 cedi levy that is also going to impose some hardship and difficulty on their work.
Alfred, Alaji, good evening.
Yeah.
And I empathize with the concerns expressed by Alaji. And Alaji has assurances of the minister that engagement will continue. We'll continue to reach out to them to ensure that we are on the same page and that we get their support. The government has dealt with the transport union in a very transparent way. There's no mistrust, there's no apathy between the two parties, and that the engagement will continue. We'll reach out once again, Alaj, and then the issues will be resolved. It's not that anybody wants to take advantage of the drivers or the system, no. We are all serving Mother Ghana, and at the end of the day, we'll continue to engage to ensure that whatever concerns you have, we'll open the books to you once again. You look at it, and then you come to a realization that it's a difficult decision, but it's a necessary one. So we'll continue to get engaged, and then we'll reach out to you, and then the conversation will continue.
I see, Alaj, does this bring any sense of assurance to you that the concerns you've raised and the press conference will be addressed?
Well, he has spoken nicely, but the implementation, are they inviting, when are we sitting before on the 10th? That is the problem. He has to, but the implementation of what he says, because he has spoken to me, I have listened to him. I'm also representing all my people, not even only GPRTU. See, all the unions who were around, who surrounded me for the press conference, not GPRTU press conference, transport operators press conference. So, while we have given up to on the 10th, we have this in it. So, our doors are open. But we will never cheat ourselves. That one I have to tell my brother. We will never cheat ourselves. We make sure we play it fairly, honestly, and make sure we all help move Mother Ghana forward.
I see.
We will reach out. We'll reach out, and as soon as possible, engagement will recommence. Like you said, there's been wide stakeholder consultations, but sometimes these challenges happen. So the government recognizes your concerns. The government recognizes where you find yourself. And like I said, there's been smooth conversations over the period. There hasn't been any issues, conflicts, any mistrust between the parties. So we'll continue to engage, and then you have the assurances of the minister that definitely the transport union will not be left out.
Okay. Well, you have up until the 10th of June, Alaji, am I right, for this engagement and getting their issues addressed as well. Alaji, correct?
Okay. We thank you very much.
Okay. Well, we'll see how the coming days will look like on this. Well, they've given a notice of the 10th of June as they're going to go on a nationwide strike. Alhaji Abazimoro is the head of industrial relations for the Ghana Private Road Transport Union, GPRTU. Also, you heard Richmond Roxon. He speaks for the Energy Ministry, talking about further engagement. But this is what the president said a couple of hours ago when he signed, in fact, he assented to this bill, the Energy Sector Levy Act, into law. Take a listen to him.
Energy Sector Levy Amendment Act 2025. The energy sector debt has been the Achilles heel of our economic growth and sustainability for many years, and there have been many attempts to try to resolve it. From the time of the toll levy to the Energy Sector Levy Act, ESLA. Today, we're signing the Energy Sector Levy Amendment Act. All this is due to trying to eliminate the energy sector debts and stop the crisis in the energy sector and create an energy sector that delivers lower tariffs and better service to our people. I wish to pledge to the Ghanaian people that we are determined to solve this energy sector crisis once and for all and resolve the issue of the energy sector debt. With the recent performance of the Ghanaian economy, we have seen a drop in the price of petroleum products. I want to thank the transport unions and the drivers for their cooperation in passing on the savings to the Ghanaian people. Since then, the petroleum prices have dropped further at the pump. We believe that it will be a useful use of the extra savings that has occurred to try and pay down the energy sector debt and also pay for the expensive liquid fuel that we use to generate power. The fuel component of power generation is not captured in the tariff. And my understanding is that if we capture the full cost of the fuel component, it will lead tariffs to go up by 50%. But our current trajectory is not sustainable. We are determined to achieve macroeconomic stability, have a strong currency, low inflation, but to do that, we must make sure that the energy sector does not destabilize the economy, the gains we've made with the economy. And that is why, though painful it is to sign this, I'm enjoying as a president. I was appointed not only to take soft decisions and easy decisions, but also to take hard decisions. And one of the assurances I make you is that this money will be used exactly for what it's meant for. It won't be like in the past where the ESLA was collateralized and the money was diverted for other things. I can assure you that this money is going to be ring-fenced. It's going to go for the purchase of fuel oils to keep our lights on. And towards the end of the year, when we have more gas and we are having to buy less fuel oil, that money will be available to start paying the debt of the independent power producers. But all this will be useless if it's not linked up with efficiency in the power sector. And that's why we're going to go ahead to revamp the distribution sector so that we reduce the losses that we are incurring. It's estimated that we lose almost 45% of the value of the power we're transmitting. We can't continue like that. And so, aside from signing this levy, we're also going to go ahead with a reform in the power sector so that we're collecting more revenue to be able to pay down this debt. This act that has been christened the D-levy will not be forever. It is a temporary solution to try and resolve our crisis in the power sector. And I'll sign it now, but I'm sure that by the grace of God, we'll resolve the energy sector crisis and we'll be able to relieve Ghanaians of the levy that I've just signed. So I hereby append my signature to the bill.
The President, John Dramani Mahama. If you go on our Facebook page at 3FM927, that signing ceremony that took place not too long ago, in fact, they are accenting this into law. Well, the GPRTU is asking that there should be some engagement, at least to either review it and downwards or withdraw it, as a matter of fact, because they said they were not engaged as a major stakeholder in this particular sector. As a Ghana Private Road Transport Union, you've heard the president and the details of his appeal. What happens between now and June 10 is what we've been asking the Energy Ministry. So stay with us here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7, also on Kesmi 107.1 in Tamale and beyond. We're live on W 93.5 in Wa and beyond. But away from that, something happened earlier today in the Ashanti region, and that's what leads us to the next issue, because government saying that it has impounded 1,250 excavators at the Tema port over the past 2 weeks as part of intensified efforts to combat illegal mining, according to Phyllis Kwachofosu, the minister in charge of government communications. But in a separate incident, 7 Chinese nationals suspected to be involved in illegal mining were arrested at Akomfre in the Ashanti region, despite violent resistance from the armed thugs. So if you go on our Facebook page right now, we're showing you a video of this incident. Armed men who were trying, in fact, to prevent the police and the task force led by the administrator of the Minerals Development Fund, Dr. Hanna Bissiw, along with some journalists and police officers, from arresting these Chinese who were involved in illegal mining. Now, the administrator of the Minerals Development Fund, Dr. Hanna Bissiw, and the journalists with the police officers were held hostage by gun-wielding thugs in a conference, a known Galamsey hotspot in the Tema district in the Ashanti region. Now, the assailants demanded the release of the detained Chinese suspects before authorities regained control. Now, go on our Facebook page right now. We'll show you videos of Dr. Hanna Bissiw's engagement with the police service there, the personnel, and then also all the scenes of these thugs, gun-wielding thugs, who prevented, in fact, they attacked Dr. Hanna Bissiw and the journalist who accompanied the police on this particular operation. Now, that's live on our Facebook page at 3FM927 right now. The livid Dr. Hanna Bissiw is, you see on our Facebook page at 3FM927, the video we're showing you right now. My colleague and our Northern Bureau Chief, William Evans Inkum, was part of this team of journalists that accompanied Dr. Hanna Bissiw and the police officers who were held hostage by these gun-wielding thugs in that conference. Joining me on the telephone right now. William, it's good to have you. Can you hear me?
Well, I can hear you, Alfred.
I hope you're safe. I hope you're safe where you are now.
Well, by the grace of God, we are back. We are back today, so we are in Kumasi now.
Perfect. Great. Now, narrate to us this entire incident, what happened earlier today, not too long ago, where you were held hostage with Dr. Hanna Bissiw and the police officers there because you had arrested some Chinese involved in illegal mining.
Well, Alfred, so the Mineral Development Fund, led by Dr. Hanna Bissiw, the last couple of days, has been visiting some Galamsey areas. So she came to the Ashanti region. That was last night. We joined them last night to an enclave that is already done a lot of intelligence. That was a compressed a mining community. In fact, it's supposed to be a cocoa growing community. As far as Akinampunia district of the Ashanti region is concerned, but that's saying to a farm of illegal mining, arable land, vast arable land, hectares of vast arable land have been destroyed. And the Onfe River, which is one of the biggest rivers in the Ashanti region, has also leaked. It is an eyesore. I call it a horror. But believe you me, those behind this level of degradation are foreigners. And we're talking about Chinese miners. What is happening in that particular community is that they are getting protection from some tax that they have paid. And of course, some community members that they are also posting these Chinese miners. The other side of it is that there's some level of fear. Now, people who tend to be informants are victimized. We even heard that we cannot independently confirm that some people have been killed because they divulge information to security operatives to attack them or invade concessions. So some people were killed, even though, as I said, we cannot independently verify this particular claim. I mean, compendium of speculation, if I should put it that way. When we went there after arresting them, that it wasn't easy for the task force to even arrest them because we're told that they were hiding in certain houses. The first house we went were there. I mean, they were an alert, so they had moved to two different houses where they were shielded. But the task force, I mean, was able to lay hands on them. Then they were accosted to the very site that they have degraded. That is the Akufrem Forest Belt. Just to have a better appreciation of what they have done to the land.
right after being accosted to the Akofren forest, they were brought back to one of their holding places where they use or where they mix the mercury to extract the gold. And just so the task force will also have a better understanding of the kind of process, the legal processes that they actually employ in the extraction of gold. Right from there, they were supposed to have been accosted to the waiting vehicle and then moved straight to the Ashanti region for investigation to also continue. But when we were about to leave Akofem, then we saw about 10 or 15 motorcycles and then one pickup full of trucks, all of them heavily armed. Some were wielding cutlasses, some were also wielding. About 95% of them were wielding guns, pump action guns. So the mission was very simple. You either release the Chinese to us or you are not moving an inch. And then the task force was also resolute. They said, no, we will not release the Chinese to you or the Chinese to you. Then they started firing, blocked the road and said, until they get what they want, they will not allow anybody to move. Started shooting. But the police did not reply or respond. The police were policemen who were sent from the Ashanti region. I'm talking about Kumasi. So it wasn't those in Unahis, but they were from Kumasi that we went with. They decided to engage them in a dialogue just so they will be able to persuade them for at least for that blockade to be removed so we can have easy passage. After it took about 30 minutes before cool heads could prevail. Then they decided to lead us to the Unahini District Police Command. It was there that somebody whispered into my ear that it was the commander who allegedly sent the task to block and then also release the Chinese detainees. Well, again, cannot independently confirm, but I engaged Hanna Bissiw, who told me that indeed it was the commander who had given that instruction.
In fact, if you go on our Facebook page right now, we are showing that video of Dr. Hanna Bissiw and that confrontation that she had with the police commander. You captured it right on television. That's Ameka, Commander Ameka, right? That's the name we see on his uniform. And Dr. Hanna Bissiw is livid. You see that livid reaction from him on our Facebook page right now. What exactly was she telling the police officer, the police commander?
The police officer was asking her what her mission, why she was in his jurisdiction, because she wasn't informed and all of that. So that was a question that he was asking Dr. Hanna Bissiw until she introduced herself to him. Then he began to tone down. It was at that time that the task also realized who she was, and they also eased that level of tension. That was when we were able to leave Unahini safely to Kumasi, where the suspects were handed to the Ashanti Regional Police Command. In fact, they were put before court, and as I speak to you now, they've been remanded into police custody for 2 weeks.
I see. And we're showing right now the gun-wielding thugs. William Evans Income arrested all. He arrested all and bought us this video. So if you go on our Facebook page right now, we are showing you videos of these gun-wielding thugs who sought to prevent the police from arresting these Chinese nationals involved in illegal mining in this area. And Engineer Dr. Ken Ashigbe is the convener of the Ghana Coalition Against Illegal Mining. He's joining us right now. And Engineer, I know you've seen some of these videos we're talking about, and then all of this as is happening right now, getting to know that gun-wielding thugs had that infantry to even hold hostage the administration of this Minerals Development Fund, Dr. Hanna Bissiw, along with journalists and the police officers. Reason being, they would not allow the police to arrest Chinese nationals involved in illegal mining. How does all of this strike you?
Well, thank you very much, Alfred. You see, this is where the coalition says that the issues of illegal mining has now changed. It is now a national security concern. How is it that police people who are properly attired as police people, you would have gun-wielding cops, wanting to prevent them from carrying out their lawful action? And so this is why for us, when we ask that the president needs to, have a state of emergency in some of these areas, it is so important. How did this all come about, the weapons that they are carrying? And we want to find out from the IGP, this policeman that we're talking about, how long has he been there? Is he one of the police people who were supposed to have been transferred? So is it a new policeman that has come into the area that you have in your area, there's illegal mining taking place? You are not able to deal with it. A task force comes to deal with it, and then you send tax after them. Definitely, this policeman has some questions that has to be answered. And we would still insist that His Excellency, and as much as there is some positive work going on, if you look at the IGP himself, some of the good work that is happening, the Minister for Land as well, the work that is being done, it is particularly because of these things, that there are some extra things that has to be done, like the state of emergency. And how would we, after the administrator going through all of this, risking her life, to get these Chinese arrested, only for us to be told by the Minister of Interior that they will be deported? So it is really, we need to be extra, hard on these people who are involved in all of this. And I'm hoping that with the videos that have been captured, all of these people who are gun wielding, we would arrest them and then prosecute them for sins under the Minerals and Mining Act, but also possession of the weapons that they are and the brandishing that they did in that particular regard.
You talk about this being treated as a national security problem. We've seen the strategy that has been adopted by government so far, and also this multi-sectorial approach to the fight against illegal mining. That's why you find, for instance, the Mineral Development Fund also getting in with its team, accompanied by the Ghana Police Service, to do this. And then now we see a police commander questioning the act of the Mineral Development Fund for arresting these Chinese nationals involved in illegal mining. What should be the appropriate response mechanism from the IGP, especially because of the involvement of some of these police officers, as we have captured on video right now?
So, Alfred, this policeman by this time should be, there should be police inquiry, action that should start. And then we also need to throw the book at him. Because definitely as a policeman, how is it that the Chinese people, where the illegality is happening within his constituency, and he won't deal with it, and somebody even deals with them? We know that the laws of this country gives us, even as citizens, the power to conduct a citizen arrest. And so if you have other police people, they might not have come from your jurisdiction. And we know the reason why when these operations happen, they don't take police people from the particular jurisdiction. And the reason is because all of these police people are compromised. There's the reason why the IGP is embarking on that reshuffle. So this policeman has some questions to answer. For him, he's not a candidate for reshuffle. He should be arrested himself. And then the investigation is done. Because if you look at the videos that exist, there's party evidence that, he was involved in the illegality. And that's definitely the reason why the administrator will confront him. Unfortunately for us, we have videos that all of us have seen. So we'll be expecting the IGP to make sure that this policeman is arrested. Everybody who's been involved in this issue, we need to make sure. But again, we need to treat this thing as a serious national security risk. So these people who are touting guns, they are now in a small community. They do this, they are successful, they get some gold, they buy some extra ammunition and arms. By the time you see them taking over a district, they're taking over a region, and then the very presidency will be at risk. So it is important for all of us as survivors, as a democracy, as a state, that we deal with these people with the requisite firepower as is required. So So when the EPA chief executive asked for the fact that she, press and arm to be able to deal with it, this is the reason why that act is there. And so it's important that the national security apparatus gives the president the right, intel, and show that we can have selected so we don't put the life of the police, for journalists, the administrators, for example, at risk because of rogue policemen who would then go and commandeer, mercenaries and do the kind of that fuel tanker station that was found.
Yeah.
Which tankers have been going to provide fuel to that particular place? Who are the owners of that? Who are the clients that they are selling to? And you see, in our national security architecture, there are CCTV cameras all over the country. We will be able to tell these vehicles have been supplying, fuel to a particular place. And so we need to get to the bottom of it. As we talk about that, it's also important. As expected, the president said, over 300 excavators have been. We need to publish the names of all the owners of all these excavators. Who are they sold to? Who did they rent out? We need to start exposing those people who are behind this, who are providing the weapons of the mass destruction that is causing this genocide and ecocide to our country. So I think for anybody who's a patriotic Ghanaian should be happy about some of the things that are happening. When the president talks about the fact that now before you will be able to put any excavator on any ship and bring them to Ghana, it should have been licensed. I heard a former minister from Ghana say that, this was something that came up in their time. But if it came up in their time, they were not implementing it. So what we will pray is that now it will be implemented. Not only will that be implemented, the Minerals Commission, the tracking system that they have put in the Minerals Commission, where they can sit in a car and actually monitor excavators throughout the country. Your fences with your concession, such that you cannot move beyond it. We need to make sure that is immediately resuscitated. We know that the CEO of the Minerals Commission has talked about the fact they have some number of trackers that are coming in. We need to speed that up. And then we need to have a moratorium. If it's 1 month, if you have any excavator that you have not taxed, then it will be classified that you have sinned under the Minerals and Mining Act. And it will be confiscated, you will be taken to court, and there will be a forfeit. That should happen as quickly as possible. If you are able to deal with the situation of the excavators, and all excavators are tracked like the way the scale miners do theirs, you will find out that this problem will begin to have a way in which we resolve it.
And Dr. Ocansey, we appreciate your time on this. A very, very important point and recommendation that you're making there. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
And on that particular note, the government has, according to the government spokesperson, impounded 1,250 excavators at the Tema port over the past 2 weeks as part of intensified effort to combat illegal mining in the country. That's according to Felix Kwachofosu. But on this particular incident and how things have been playing out, Dr. Hanna Bissiw, who is the administrator of the Minerals Development Fund, who, along with journalists, including our own Evans Inkum and police officers, were held hostage by gun-wielding thugs in Akonfre, is a known Galamsey area in the Ashanti region, Chumamponia specifically. She has been speaking about this incident. Take a listen.
He is fed up. And in fact, the communities are fed up. They are fed up that they destroy the land, they destroy the water bodies, and at the end of the day, they're going to blame government. Because they want water, government has to provide. They want this, government has to provide. For these Chinese who say they don't even feel sorry for what they've done. They destroy our water bodies. They've done so much. We will also push to make sure that the law takes its course. But if they are going to be deported, it should not be before they pay for the restoration of offering. The community is fed up. And in fact, the communities are fed up. They are fed up that they destroy the land, they destroy the water bodies, and at the end of the day, they're going to blame government. because they want water, government has to provide. They want this, government has to provide. For these Chinese who say they don't even feel sorry for what they've done, they destroy our water bodies. They've done so much. We will also push to make sure that the law takes its course. But if they are going to be deported, it should not be before they pay for them. They want water, government has to provide. They want this, government has to provide. For these Chinese who say they don't even feel sorry for what they've done, they destroy our water bodies. They've done so much. We will also push to make sure that the law takes its course. But if they are going to be deported, it should not be before they pay for the restoration of offering.
You're also live here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7, also on Kesmi 107.1 in Tamale on W93.5 and Y and beyond. Seth Walashime is a mining expert. Mr. Walashime, appreciate your time. This certainly must be very troubling, to say the least. But hearing that the government has impounded 1,250 excavators at the Tema port over the last 2 weeks alone, 1,200 excavators, what does that tell you?
Well, good evening, Ocansey. And good evening to your cherished listeners. Well, basically, this fight against illegal mining, which we term Galamsey, it's a very, very daunting task. And we don't have to really give up the fight so easily, because basically the people have a lot of incentive, to do what they are doing. So when they are apprehended, I'm sure that the government should make the law really hit hard, so that it will serve as a deterrent for other people who are contemplating, going that same route. So, and again, I want to underline something. The Chinese, they don't live in this country. It is Ghanaians who take them into those areas to go and destroy the forest and our water bodies. So we can't blame the Chinese that much. It is Ghanaians who are leading them into those areas. So we should also look at that and try to get the Ghanaians behind those people, the Chinese, and also punish them.
See, and the punishment bit is, yes, we know these Chinese who are arrested today have already been remanded into police custody, but there was an incident. Armed thugs sought to prevent the police from arresting these people, and the police commander in this area as well then came in to question why the Minerals Development Fund Administrator, Dr. Hanna Bissiw, and the team of police officers who are outside of that jurisdiction were even on that operation within his jurisdiction, and he was not aware of it. Does that raise any concern for you?
Yes, of course. You see, I've always said that there is some complicity when it comes to fighting this menace, because the reward is so huge that it is easy to convince people to get protection or get tip-offs and all those kinds of intelligence when operations are being done. Why should people prevent the task force from doing its job when they know that the effect of what they are doing is going to be the devastation of our land and the water bodies? So you will see that they are benefiting from the illegality, and therefore they are quick to come to the defense of whoever is trying to do the right thing. That is even in the past administration, when they were forming those task force, I told them point blank, I said, listen, people will be corrupted in the process, and that is exactly what happened. And so we couldn't win that war. And so this government should learn from that mistake, the past, and make sure that they devise a system where anybody that is found complicit in this is punished heavily to serve as a deterrent.
And I do appreciate your thoughts on this. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Seth Walashime is a mining expert. It's showing us here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. We're also on Kesmi 107.1 in Tamale and beyond. We're live on W 93.5 in Wa and beyond. Your thoughts, views, comments, and opinions are welcome on the issues we've been talking about so far. And today is World Environment Day, and a number of things have been happening across the country to mark this particular day. And top of it is the president, John Dramani Mahama. He has announced plans to ban the importation and production of styrofoam in Ghana. Now, citing the impact that it has on our environmental pollution. The announcement was made on Thursday, that's earlier today, during the launch of the 2025 National Tree Planting Exercise, an initiative aimed at restoring the country's forest cover and mitigating the impact of climate change, describing styrofoam as one of the most harmful pollutants, particularly due to widespread use in food packaging. The president stressed the urgent need for alternative materials. He added that manufacturers and importers of styrofoam should prepare for the impending policy change, as the Ministry of Environment will soon take steps to formally ban both the import and local production of the material. I'm talking about takeaway packs. Essentially, this is what the president said.
We can't be planting trees and cutting them down at the same time. And so to reduce the cutting of trees, it is my intention to issue a directive to stop the use of wood for school furniture. We're soon going to pass a directive. School furniture will no longer be made of wood, so that we can stop the cutting down of our trees. We will either use recycled plastic for our school furniture, or we will use metal furniture. One of the other things we intend to do is to ban styrofoam as a food packaging material. One of the most pernicious polluters is styrofoam plastic. When you go to buy your food and they put it in that white plastic something, and then you finish eating, you just dump it. That is one of the biggest polluters. And so we're going to ban the importation of styrofoam plastics. We have to use paper packaging or aluminum foil for packaging our food. And so I'm informing the manufacturers and importers of styrofoam. With the Ministry of Environment, soon we're going to ban the importation of styrofoam and production of styrofoam in Ghana. Our food packaging will be made from paper and also from aluminum material.
That's the president, John Dramani Mahama there. Also live here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. Also on Kesmi 107.1 in Tamale. We're live on W 93.5 NY and beyond. Stay with us. We're back with the business news and the sports news after this quick break. Also live on YouTube at 3FM 927. Stay with us.
Ghana. It's a new year and Bills Microcredit is here to support your dreams. If you're not working but want to start a business, don't let money stop you. With just your Ghana card, you can get a loan to turn your ideas into reality. Already running a business? Need more capital? Or are you a salary worker looking for extra funds? Bills offers fast and easy loans with no collateral, no deposit, and no SUSI savings required. Wherever you are, whatever you need, Bills makes it happen. Call Bills Microcredit today. Call 0596 920 833 or 0302 200 390 and get started. Bills is licensed and regulated by the Bank of Ghana. Bills, financing your needs. Terms and conditions apply.
Get ready, Ghana. The road is calling. The wheels are spinning. It's the 3FM Tour du Ghana, happening Saturday, 21st June, 2025. From the heart of Accra to the border town of Aflao, we are paddling for the planet in a thrilling 192-kilometer ride across Ghana's scenic Eastern Corridor. Whether you're a scenic cyclist or a passionate paddle pusher, it's your moment to shine. Form your teams, grab your helmets, and race for glory in Ghana's biggest cycling showdown. Challenge your limits, conquer the distance, ride for sustainability, be part of history. To register, call 053-1100-927 or 053-2200-927. 3FM Tour du Ghana, powered by 3FM.
Sponsored by Malta Guinness, Fruteli, and Qua Naturals.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to the sports segment here on the 3FM Hot Edition. My name is Billy Shen. Now, former Black Queens coach Mercy Tego insists Ghana's recent poor form with just one win in their last 5 games will not affect their performance at the upcoming Women's Africa Cup of Nations. The tournament will kick off in Morocco in July, with Ghana in a challenging group alongside South Africa, Mali, and Tanzania.
Fortunately, we have a good team. Most of the players there were scouted by me, and I'm happy they are still there. You have a whole lot of pool of players, and I realized that they were calling them one by one, group by group, and it's good. And losing a training match is, for me, is nothing. This one is even good. It will take people's minds off Black Queens, so that when they get you, the tournament, someone will say tournament proper, and they will teach you that football is made in Ghana, not any other. So don't worry, you people should just, it's my prayer that Ghana will bring something back home for Ghanaians to be happy. My concern is Ghanaians, not apart from we not winning our matches. It is my prayer that someday Black Queens will bring a cup.
Now, Mercy Tego further urged the players to focus on their strengths and embrace their femininity, saying that it's key that their confidence and unity shows on the pitch.
So women's football has come of age so much that we imitate those in Europe, you know. And fortunately, I find myself to be an instructor of CAF. Whenever we meet in the African stage or world stage, I see them doing it, and it's nice. Why wouldn't I do the same? Remember, I'm nurturing some girls who are going to grow past football, and there is life after football. What they see is what they do. That is why you see some of them, not my players though, wearing Otofista and that kind of Rasta hair. That is why, for me, that is the reason why women's football is not getting sponsors here and there. Just imagine, you dress like a male, you do this Rasta hair and that kind of thing. Manya be, there you go and stand in some companies' MD's office and you want sponsorship, my dear.
That was Mercy Tego, the former coach of the Black Queens. Now, still on women's football, with the 2025 or 2024 Women's Africa Cup of Nations coming up, our reporter, that is Akosie J, previews what the Black Queens should expect.
Well, my first impression is against South Africa. I don't think that we will necessarily be it will be a shocker to me if we win against South Africa, and I will be happy if we're able to win against South Africa. Against Mali, we've played them in an AFCON before where we lost, and so it's also going to be a very difficult game. Then I look at Tanzania, who are also pulling their weight in the friendlies that they are playing. None of the games that we are going to be playing at the Women's African Cup of Nations will be easy at all for us.
That was Akosie J speaking there. Now in athletics, Ghana's 100-meter record holder Abdul Rashid Saminu opens up about handling pressure at the Olympics, where he competed in a men's 100-meter events and reached the semi-finals. In an exclusive with 3 Sports, Saminu reveals the experience of racing alongside the world's top athletes was electrifying.
Yeah, I was having a lot of pressure on me, but not too much pressure because I have Ajayi in the heat, because I know he's a good guy. He's a good starter too. And you go around
at 10:30 a.m. live on TV3. So do keep your dial on and be watching TV3 for tomorrow with a full exclusive with Ghana's 100-meter record holder Abdul Rashid Saminu. Now let's move on to Europe, where there's a lot of transfer news happening in the last few hours. And my colleague Mutala Yakubu sums it up here.
Victor Osimhen is in talks with Saudi Arabian side Al Hilal ahead of a possible summer transfer, according to the latest reports. They have reportedly submitted a bid worth 70 million euros to tempt the Napoli man. The Nigerian had a successful loan spell with Galatasaray, leading them to the Turkish league title. Liverpool have rejected an approach from Barcelona to speak to forward Luis Diaz. The Reds have reportedly told Barcelona that the Colombian international, one of Liverpool's key players in winning the Premier League title last season, is not for sale. Manchester City have agreed a deal in principle with the Wolverhampton Wanderers to sign Ryan Aït-Nouri. The Algerian international is expected to undergo a medical this weekend, with the transfer fee understood to be around 40 million euros. Real Madrid are reportedly closing in on signing Franco Mustantuono from River Plate with newly appointed manager Alonso has called. Real Madrid are reportedly closing in on signing Franco Mustantuono from River Plate, and newly appointed manager Alonso has called up the 17-year-old to convince him. Madrid would have to match the 45 million euro release clause in his contract, but it appears he is on his way to the Spanish capital.
That was a wrap of the transfers by Mutala Yakubu. Bringing an end to sports here on the 3FM Hot Edition. My name is Billy Shen. We have business coming up shortly with Bismarck Awusa, so do stay.
Get ready, Ghana. The road is calling. The wheels are spinning. It's the 3FM Tour du Ghana, happening Saturday, 21st June, 2025. From the heart of Accra to the border town of Aflao, we are paddling for the planet in a thrilling 192-kilometer ride across Ghana's scenic Eastern Corridor. Whether you're a scenic cyclist or a passionate paddle pusher, it's your moment to shine. Form your teams, grab your helmets, and race for glory in Ghana's biggest cycling showdown. Challenge your limits, conquer the distance, ride for sustainability, be part of history. To register, call 053-1100-927 or 053-2200-927. 3FM Tour du Ghana, powered by 3FM.
Sponsored by Malta Guinness, Fruitelli and Qua Naturals.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to the Business News on Hot Edition, 3FM 92.7. Coming up this evening, Bank of Ghana reports 9.49 billion cedis operating loss for 2024, but says financial position has improved compared to 2023. My name is Bismarck Awusa. Let's settle now for the detail. Now, the Bank of Ghana has recorded an operating loss of 9.49 billion cedis for 2024, but says the figure reflects an improvement over the previous year's restated loss of over 13 billion cedis. The central bank attributes the improvements to tighter cost controls and ongoing reforms aimed at stabilizing its financial operations. The following 3 Business News Desk report has details.
The Bank of Ghana is reporting an operating loss of 9.49 billion cedis for the 2024 financial year, but says the result shows signs of progress when compared to 2023, when losses were restated to 13.23 billion cedis. According to the central bank, the 2024 loss occurred because its total income of 9.4 billion cedis wasn't enough to cover operating expenses, which reached nearly 19 billion cedis. The biggest cost came from open market operations, the tools used to control inflation and money supply, which alone cost the bank 8.6 billion cedis. There were also losses from exchange rate movement and asset revaluations amounting to 3.49 billion cedis. This includes over 1.8 billion cedis in foreign exchange losses linked to the government Gold for Oil program. Additionally, the cost of printing and issuing currency rose sharply. Despite the overall loss, the Bank of Ghana says its financial position is improving, noting a 4 billion cedis increase in equity. Still, the bank ends the year with a negative equity of over 61 billion cedis. It says it is sticking to reforms, including not lending directly to government and managing costs better in order to return to financial stability.
And that was a 3 Business News Desk report. Moving on, the Ghana Chamber of Telecommunications and the Digital Chamber of Ghana have announced the departure of their Chief Executive, Engineer Dr. Kenneth Ashigbe, who stepped down at the end of May after nearly 8 years of service. The Telecoms Chamber praised his leadership, describing his tenure as impactful, transformational for Ghana's telecom and digital sectors. It says his vision and dedication significantly contributed to the national economy. The chamber has assured stakeholders of a smooth leadership transition and will announce a new CEO in due course. Now, President John Dramani Mahama has assented to the new Energy Sector Levy Amendment Bill 2025, officially signing it into law. The new legislation introduces a 1 cedi levy on every litre of petroleum products, a move the government describes as a difficult but necessary step to stabilize the energy sector and address its substantial debt burden. The passage of this bill, which saw swift Parliament approval under a certificate of urgency, aims to generate an estimated 5.7 billion cedis annually.
I have the Energy Sector Levy Amendment Act 2025. The energy sector debt has been the Achilles heel of our economic growth and sustainability for many years, and there have been many attempts to try to resolve it. From the time of the toll levy to the Energy Sector Levy Act, ESLA. Today we're signing the Energy Sector Levy Amendment Act. All this is a view to trying to eliminate the energy sector debts and stop the crisis in the energy sector and create an energy sector that delivers lower tariffs and better service to our people. I wish to pledge to the Ghanaian people that we are determined to solve this energy sector crisis once and for all and resolve the issue of the energy sector debts.
You just heard President John Dramani Mahama assenting to the Energy Sector Levy Bill. Now, the Ghana Chamber of Mines has announced a production target of 5.1 million ounces of gold for 2025, 300,000 ounces more than what was recorded in 2024. The gold remains Ghana's leading foreign exchange earner. So far this year, the Ghana Gold Board and the Precious Minerals Marketing Company have reportedly exported gold worth over $4 billion. Speaking at the Chamber's annual general meeting, President Michael Akafia reaffirmed the mining industry's commitment to supporting Ghana's economic development. He noted that member companies are working to maximize value while adhering to responsible mining practices.
Gold output is expected to range between 4.4 and 5.1 million ounces, underpinned by contributions from numerous Ahafo South Mine and Shandong's Nambini Mine. Manganese and bauxite are expected to increase in output to 8 million ounces and 2 million ounces respectively. Diamond production is expected to reach 400,000 carats in 2025. There are anticipated declines in Perseus's Edikan mine Goldfields, Damang and Tapa mines, and Zinjin's Achim mine. The expanded mandate of the newly established Gold Board, which includes the determination of local gold prices, introduces a new policy and market dynamic that may significantly impact on the sector's contribution to national production.
You just heard the president of the Ghana Chamber of Mines, Michael Akafia, ending the business news on Hot Edition with me, Bismarck Awusa. For more business stories, please check out our website, freenews.com. Thanks for your company.
Ghana, the road is calling, the wheels are spinning. It's the 3FM Tour du Ghana, happening Saturday, 21st June 2025. From the heart of Accra to the border town of Aflao, we are paddling for the planet in a thrilling 192-kilometer ride across Ghana's scenic Eastern Corridor. Whether you're a scenic cyclist or a passionate paddle pusher, it's your moment to shine. Form your teams, grab your helmets, and race for glory in Ghana's biggest cycling showdown. Challenge your limits, conquer the distance, ride for sustainability, be part of history. To register, call 053-1100-927 or 053-2200-927. 3FM Tour du Ghana, powered by 3FM.
Sponsored by Multigators, Frutali and Qua Naturals.
Welcome back. This is Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7, also on Kesmi 107.1 in Tamale. We're live on W93.5 in one beyond. The Ghana National Association of Farmers and Fishermen, the umbrella organization for rural agriculture producers, say they will collaborate with government to do a reclamation of all lands destroyed by illegal mining at a news conference to announce its July 11 Congress as part of the rebranding agenda. Consultant for the group, Francis Opaitete, regretted that all farmlands have been taken over by mining activities.
We, as an association, what we seek to do is to partner with government and relevant agencies to rather go back and reclaim the destroyed lands. We want to fill the pits. We want to cover the pits so that we can go back and farm on those lands again. And that's why we are saying that we want government intervention and then civil society collaboration to be able to do this. Our research has shown that areas where they have done reclaim of the land, the yield is even better. So we are confident that if we are able to reclaim the destroyed land, we can farm better on those lands and bring something to the table.
As Francis Opaitete there, now former president Nana Akufo-Addo has declared his support for the National Day of Prayer and Thanksgiving. The former president urged Ghanaians to embrace it, emphasizing the importance of national unity and stability. Here's the former president.
All of us have to support this initiative. It's clearly a worthwhile initiative. And we have this one day where all of us come together to give thanks to the Almighty for the many, many, many blessings He has bestowed upon us. And you identified one of the most important is the stability, the unity of our country and its stability. Our country is the only one in West Africa, perhaps one of the few on the continent that has never had a civil war. On the 7 years since independence. We've had our problems, coups, etc., but the country has never broken apart and we have never ended up fighting each other because of politics or power. And that is a blessing for us. And we're continuing down that road. We're now in the Fourth Republic, which has given us an occasion 4 times to change governments peacefully. And it's now become what happened in December last year. It shows that it is now part of the culture of our country that we should have these popular consultations that lead to peaceful transfers of power. So we have a lot to thank God for. And I want to commend the President for thinking of this initiative and for making it real.
That's Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo, former president of the Republic of Ghana. Now, on his part, the chairman of the planning committee, Elvis Efriankra, acknowledged former President Akufo-Addo's support when the committee paid a courtesy call on him at his residence. He also revealed that Cardinal Pierre Turkson will be present to deliver the keynote message on July 1, 2025.
How do we renew our faith and our commitment to the country so that all the things that we desire or where we desire the country to be, we all put our efforts together. And so there are going to be 2 programs. One in the morning from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m., which is the Christian program, which will be hosted at the forecourt of the State House, 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. Cardinal Turkson has agreed to fly down from Rome to come and give us the liturgy on that day. And in a way, it's a blessing in disguise, because if he had become the Pope, he wouldn't have come. He wouldn't have been able to come. When I was speaking to you yesterday, he said, well, thank God I'm not a Pope. I said, well, this would have been first papal visit. And then we would have all the other Christian leaders playing their role. Then from 12:30 to 2 p.m., we are gathering at the National Mosque, where the chief imam, together with all the other imams, will lead us in a time of Muslim service. It's going to happen in all the 16 regions and in all the districts, because we want that day, for once, we'll focus on Ghana. So we have sent out a strong communique that on that day, for once, there will be no party colors. National colors or white or celebratory. We want to focus on Ghana and what we can all do for Ghana.
That's Elvis Efriankra there. Away from that, the National Commission of Small Arms and Light Weapons has met transport operators in its first stakeholder meeting in a bid to check the proliferation of small arms and explosives. A National Small Arms Baseline Survey conducted in 2014 has established that 2.3 million small arms are circulating in the country. 1.1 million of the arms are in the hands of civilians, posing a threat to national security. George Queenie sat through the engagement and has been telling us what Dr. Adam Bona has been saying on what has to be done going forward in tackling this menace.
We have a very defective, arms regulation in this country. I have to be blunt. It's very defective. It's not efficient. But fortunately, if you listen to the president and his first, State of the Nation's address, one thing he mentioned significantly was that there is going to be tighter firearms regulation. And we at the Small Arms Commission, I have been part of the Small Arms for years. I was part of the drafting of the bill, which is pending to be passed. And so at the moment, it's at the ministerial level. My minister, very efficient, is seeing to it that it is passed. Recently, we met the team at the Attorney General's Department, and they are all waiting to have the bill passed. It is because of the defective nature of the current laws regulating firearms and small arms, and even call it explosives in general, is the reason why now every child goes into the father's cupboard, sees a weapon, and he wants to go and show off.
That's Dr. Adam Bona there. Now, some more stories, and as we've seen, the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association have been on strike, and today the strike was escalated with the withdrawal of some inpatient and emergency services, and it's continuously taking a bite on the healthcare delivery across the country. Kwabena Kando is Minister for Health. He has been addressing this concern and urging the nurses to call off the strike.
Since I took office about 3 to 4 months ago, I have engaged the nurses and midwives groups for more than 6 times within a matter of 3 to 4 months. I have an open door policy, and I'm still willing to engage them at any given time. In fact, I can assure you that even today, I've tried personally to put a phone call to the leadership to still tell them we should still engage. The collective agreement under the bone of contention was inherited, was supposed to have been implemented last year, but I agree that governance is continuum. And so that is why we are ready and prepared to sit around the table and to see how we can implement such an agreement. And so I will continue to appeal to them that in all these matters, what we have to do is to put the patient first. In my humble opinion, I do not think that strike is what will resolve the issue at the end of the day. No matter what, at the end of the day, we need to sit around the table to resolve the matter. And I'm still hoping. As a leader, it isn't all that I can put out there. It's all that I want to say and continue to appeal to our nurses out there. Sometimes, if you also don't put out the side of government,